It's there Paul says, not that I speak from want, for I have learned, notice it's a learning curve. We're not naturally like this. I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am in. I know how to get along with humble means, and I know how to live in prosperity. And in every and any circumstance, I have learned the secret. Notice this is a secret. It's not something that is immediately experienced, understandable, and observable by fallen human beings. It's something that God has to teach a person. I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both of having abundance and suffering need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. In other words, if I can be content no matter what my circumstances, then I can do anything in Jesus Christ. I think is what Paul is saying. Anything he calls me to do, I can do, because I've learned the secret of contentment. There have been times in my life where I had more than what I needed, and I learned to be content with that. There were times in my life where I had far less than what I needed, and I learned to be content in that. There's a big difference between happiness and joy. Those are two different things. Happiness comes from the word happenstance, luck. In other words, happiness is circumstances oriented. In other words, I have good emotions because I got a favorable ruling or observation from my doctor. I have good emotions because I got a raise. I have good emotions because I have more money in my bank account than what I need. But once those things disappear, happiness disappears. Because happiness itself comes from happenstance, circumstances, or luck. It is a concept that is entirely different to the life of Joseph and entirely different to what Paul is outlining in Philippians 4, really the whole book of Philippians for that matter, where you can experience the tranquility of God, the peace of God, the contentment of God, the fulfillment of God when things are great from the human perspective and things are not great from the human perspective. Jesus said in John 14, peace I give to you, not as the world gives, give I unto you. The world, the person that has no relationship with God, has no concept of this. That's why there's such a focus on money, retirement accounts, interest rates. It's almost like an obsession. Because the world understands that once those things don't move in the right direction, then internal good feelings disappear. That's why so many people, when the stock market crashed 1929, well-known fact, committed suicide. Because happiness went away. Is it not interesting that as you grow in your walk with Christ, as we grow in our walk with Christ, we can experience something with God that transcends circumstances. And the world system looks at that and just scratches their head because how could that be? How could someone have that type of inner joy and tranquility when so much is going wrong in their life? Because I know if I were in their circumstances, I would be pulling my hair out. I'd be very upset. I'd be very nervous. In Christianity, we have something so much more. God does not offer us happiness. He offers us joy, something that the world cannot understand. This is why the world system, the bars, drug abuse, alcoholism is at such epidemic rates, because when happiness disappears because of bad circumstances, I've got to numb the pain somehow. So I'll turn to chemicals or whatever. But the Christian can walk with God in the midst of a storm because they're walking in joy, not happiness, which is a different concept entirely. This is what Jesus was trying to teach the disciples when they were on the boat there in Galilee. And the storms would arise quickly. And they were in a state of panic. And where was Jesus? Asleep. One version says he had a cushion, sleep on a cushion. He's just sound asleep, and they're saying, Lord, don't you care? We're perishing. What he's modeling for them is tranquility or joy in the midst of a storm. And the last time I checked, the same Jesus that was asleep in a storm on the Sea of Galilee, now through the Holy Spirit, lives inside of the believer. So you hit some circumstances that don't look good, but there's something inside of you where God says, trust me in this. It's not denying reality. You know, there's something in Christian Science, so-called, Mary Baker Eddy, where they just deny reality. They deny that suffering exists, diseases exist. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you're walking in reality, but you have a calm and joyful emotional composition, and people say, how could you be that way? Well, it's not you being that way. It's the guy or the God that was asleep on the Sea of Galilee in you creating that.